Hagijontiv, Yutes Kislev. Oh, we are Chumash Rashi, the Torah portion by VaYeishev, the sixth reading, the sixth portion. Let us dive right into it. Can I Michael in, please? Okay. We continue. What did we end yesterday? Yosef is the master of, or the leading his master's home in Egypt. He is successful. God makes him successful in all ways. But the young 17-year-old is a little, you know, shall we say, a little too self-aware. That might be the right word. A little too self-aware. All right, let's continue. Vahi acher hadvarim, and it was after these things, ha'ela, these elas, these things, Tisa, and she lifted up Ashes Adinav, the wife of his master, Eseineha. She lifted up her eyes. El Yosef. In other words, she was attracted by him. El Yosef. Well, so much attractive that she said, and she said, Shivcha imi, lie with me. Rashi, Sisa Aisha Sadena, the master's wife cast her eyes. Yeah, that's a good word, cast. Right? She cast her eyes. Kol makom shenemar acher samoch. Whenever it says acher, right, after, so it means soon after. In other words, it's soon after from yesterday's last verse, where the verse said that Yosef was handsome and had good appearance, right? So now, soon after that, in other words, is as he said, he was in a position of authority, so he began to eat and drink and to play with his hair. And God said, "No, your father is mourning, and you're playing curling your hair. I'm going to provoke the bear against you." Who's that? Well, the wife of Potiphar. And now the story. And this is a shalshelis over here. Right? She made an advance. Sorry, I didn't get that so clear, but shalshelis, like it's, I think there's maybe 4 times in the Torah where this cantillation is made. And he refused. Vayemer, and he said, El Ashes Adinav, to the wife of his master, Hain, and so Adoni lo yada iti ma babayis. My master doesn't know what's going on in the house. In other words, he doesn't concern himself anything within the house. Everything that he owns, everything that he has given to me, meaning in my hand, meaning he's entrusted it to me, right? So he's saying, I'm like completely controlling the household and everything. Eineni gadol babayis. Einenu gadol babayis. There is no one greater in the house, meaning having authority, mimeni, from me. V'lo chasach mimeni, and he didn't hold back. Chasach means he didn't hold back. Mimeni, from me. Mu'uma, a thing. Ki'im, except oisach, you. Asher at ishte, in that you are his wife. Ve'ech esa, and how could I do hara'ah, this evil, hagdela, this great, hazais, this, actually this, right? In Hebrew, everything's the opposite the way it's in English. This evil, right here, it's evil, great, this, right? And furthermore, and I will sin to God. Rashi, chatasi lelakim, v'nei nayach nitztava al arayis. So it's interesting. Over here, we see that the descendants of Noach are commanded against forbidden relations. Even though it's one of the 7 Noachide laws. So it's interesting. Sarachian over here. Need a little looking into this because it's one of the 7 Noachide laws is. I have to take a look at that. Okay. Anyway, it's not for the moment. Vayihi, and it was Kidavra el Yosef, that when she spoke to Yosef, Yom Yom, day after day, day, meaning day after day, V'lo shama aleha, and he did not listen to her, Lishkav etzlo, to lie with her, Liyoisima, to be with her. So Rashi explains, wait, if you're lying with her, you're being with her, right? Why the repetitive statement? Lishkav etzlo, to lie with her, even without having relations. And to be with her, to the world to come. Good question. I think we need the Rebbe Sich on this. Folks, I need a minute. Okay, I'll be back in a moment. I'm sorry. Give me just a moment, okay? Thank you. Give me a second. Everyone has their expression for that. Straight there. Yeah. Yes, he showed it away. I think that's one of the reasons why he wanted to use it in his house. He wants to see what people like. Yeah. No. One of these. Okay, my apologies, folks. My apologies. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu Shalom. Baruch.
Amen.
Amen.
Okay. All right. Okay, so we need to the Rebbe Sikha on this. Let's go. Let's continue. Okay. Vahi b'yom hazeh, ka hayom hazeh rather. Yeah, and it was ka hayom, like this day, meaning a certain day. V'yavay habayisa, laseis malachte. Yosef came to the house to do his work. Ve'ein ish, and there's no man. Me'anshei habayis, from the men of the house, the members of the household. Shom, there. Babayis, in the house. Except for master's wife, as we'll see as the story unfolds. Actually, I don't know if that was the that was not the Shalshelis. Okay. Rashi bihi and it was on that day. Kalaima, now there is a say bihi yom yuchad, when it was a special day, yom tzchayik, a day of frivolity, yom eid shalahem, this was a day of idolatrous festivity. Shahalchu kulam lebeis avodah zarah, all of them went to the pagan temple. Amras, she said, Hagun, I don't have a more of a fitting day than Yosef to become intimate with Yosef, like this day. Amra Lahem, so she said to the members of the household, I'm not able to go. Rashi, Lasis Malachte, what does it mean? He came to do his work. He did his work every day. Well, he came to do his work. Rav and Shmuel, so there's a dispute between Rav and Shmuel. Chad Amar, one says, Malachte Mamish, he came literally to do his work. Right? Literally. The Chad Amar, one says, Tzirachav Ima, to fulfill his needs with her, meaning to have relations with her. That was okay. In other words, according to that opinion, interesting. Right, that he was already, okay, it's enough already. How much can I... Ella, but he didn't have relations with her. Why? She needed to the Yekne Shel Aviv, because he saw the image of his father's visage, he saw the image of his father's face appeared to him. As explained in the Masechta Saita. So that's interesting. Need to understand what's going on over here. Because, like, why here is Rashi saying this? It's before the fact. Okay, 12. But it's say who but big day. So here she is. She caught him. She held on to his clothes, Lamor, saying, Shchiva Yimei, lie with me. Biazay big day biyada, he left his clothes in her hands. Right? It was some kind of wrap, right? Biyanas viatzay chutz, and he ran and he went outside. Went to the outside. And when she saw he also big day biyada, that he left his clothes in her hand, Biyanas chutza, and he went outside. V'tikra la'anshe beisa, and she called for the men of the house. V'temer lahem, and she said to them, how did she call them exactly when they were in the pagan temple? Okay, somehow. So she called to them, and she said to them, Lamor saying, Ra'oi, see, Hevi lanu, they have brought to us Ish Ivri, a Hebrew man, L'tzachik bonu, to make mock of us. Ba Eli, he came to me and lishkavimi, to lie with me. Vekra bekel gadol, and I called out and I cried out. Called out. Karazri means to call out, but in a cry. And bekel gadol, in a loud voice. Rashi uevi lanu areze lashon ktsara. This is an abbreviated statement over here in the verse. Rashi says, Hevi lanu, that they brought us. Like Piddish, and it does say, specify me, heviu, who brought him? Albaila Imeritken, she is saying this about her husband. In other words, that her husband brought, because he bought the slave, right? So that's what she means to say. Ivri, not that she means to say. The verse is abbreviated, not saying the whole thing. Why? That's a good question. But so it is. Because the verse can speak in an abbreviated way, because that's the way of the Torah. Ivri, a Hebrew, what does it mean in Hebrew? Me'ever Anar, they came on the other side of the Euphrates, Aver, from the sons of Aver. Yeah, where did he come from? He came from the other, right? Where is he now? 1 second, actually. What do you mean the other side, the Euphrates? I mean, he was in Israel. So why is he saying in the other side of the Euphrates?
What's that? What's the question about?
On the other side of the Euphrates, he's in Egypt now. You go through Israel and then you go up north to the Euphrates. So on the other side of the Euphrates has to be on the north side. That's the way I understand it. If it's on the north side, but that's not where he was. He was in Israel. He was coming from Israel. That's where Yaakov was, right? But I think what it means is that that's where they originally come from. That's where they originally come from. But that itself needs to be understood. How do they know that? Like, how do they understand? Where does that come from to call him in that way when in fact he came from Canaan, right? Which is not on the other side of the Euphrates. It's on the same side of the Euphrates as Egypt is.
But it's possible that they would win trade with people who lived there before. They were accustomed with
Good, but you're calling him an Ivri, the meaning because he came from the other side of the Euphrates. That's not where he was sold from. He was sold from, right?
Of saying, as people say today, that they are not original to the land.
Okay, you're okay, fine, but that doesn't. Anyway, whatever. Okay. Tanach Bigdei Yetzla. And she kept the garments by her until his master came. Yosef's master came El Beisai to the house. Adainav Shel Yosef, master of Yosef. V'tidaber Elav, and she spoke to him. In other words, now the wife of Potiphar is speaking to her husband Potiphar. Kidvarim Eil, like these things, right? Lamar Ba Eli. He came upon me. Evan Ivri, this Hebrew slave, right? Asher Vesalana, that you've brought to us, the tzachek bi, to make fun of me. Rashi ba Eli, the tzachek bi, Evan Ivri, Asher Vesalanu, right? The Hebrew servants come that you brought us to make a mockery of me, or mockery. Lanu, actually, no, a mockery of me that you have brought. I don't know why she's emphasizing, because you brought him. I guess making it his fault. Yeah, I guess. Yeah. Okay. That sounds regular. Right. Like why is she saying that? What's it got to do with anything? Right. Another dig. That's what it seems, but I don't.
She's trying to imply as well, maybe that she has nothing to do with this. She did not.
Well, obviously she's not going to incriminate herself. Okay, what'd you expect?
So say it out loud.
Huh?
So say it out loud. So it's like,
I get. In other words, when you're lying already, you're gonna go for the jugular and go, not only blame Yosef, but blame him too. And look what you brought here. Yeah. Vayehi, and then Vaharimi Kaili, when I raised my voice for Ekron, I called out, right? And I called out with the big day, and he left. He left his clothes etzli by me and he ran outside. And it was when he heard his master, meaning when the husband heard this, right? As divrei ishtei, the words of his wife, asher dibra elav, that she spoke to him, lamor, saying, kidvarim ha'ela, like these things, like these kind of things, asali, avdecha, your servant has done to me, and he became furious. Vayhi kishmaya adayna. It was when the master heard, the Shas Tashmi Shomra Lord came. She said during having marital relations, she said this to him. Bezesha Amra, and this that she said Kidvarim Me'ela also Li Abdecha in Tashmish Keila. She's the words, right? Kidvarim, like these things he did to me. What was these things? Meaning, and they're having intimate relations, and she's saying like these things, right? That how Rashi learns out from the words that's when she told him. Vayikach Deine Yosef, I say, and he took the master of Yosef. He took him, and he placed him into prison. A place where the king's prisoners are imprisoned by Hisham and he was there. He remained there in the prison. Vayi Hashem es Yosef, and God was with Yosef. Vayete love Chesed, and he kind of turned to him, meaning granted him kindness. And he also made the warden of the prison favor him. Rashi in 21, Vayete love Chesed, and he granted him kindness, favor. He was well received by anybody who saw him. Lashon kalanoch v'chasuda shebemishna, like the phrase, a pretty and appealing bride, right? So he was appealing to everybody. He had a chen, he had this graciousness about him. Vayitain, Sar Beis Sayar Biad Yosef Iskol Asirim. And so the warden of prison placed all the prisoners in the hands of Yosef, the Beis Asher Beis Asar that are in prison. Iskol Asher Oisim Shamhu Haya Oiseh. And all that was done under Yosef's direction. Hu Haya Oiseh Kitargumai B'Memra Have Misaved. In other words, it would be done at his command, right? So he became, the inside warden. He was in prison. It wasn't that he wasn't in prison, but I guess whatever had to be done in the prison, it came through him. The inside base of Sayhar, right, is called Muma biyadei Asher Hashem Itay Asher Hu Oisa Hashem Matzliach. So the ain sa and there is not to the warden of the base of Sayar of the prison, Raya, there's not seeing. Asher kol mu'uma, anything, the other that was in his hands. But Asher Hashem ita, because Hashem is with him. And God granted him success, whatever he did. Asher Hashem ita, bishvil Hashem ita, because God is with him. Let's see if we can pick up something here. Okay, you ready for a sikha from the Rebbe? So remember in verse 11, right? There's verse 11. So on that day, Yosef came to do his work, right? Rashi says he brings out a debate between Rav and Shmuel. What does that mean to do his work? So one said literally his work, and the other one said to fulfill his needs, right? Except what happened, the image of his father came to him and gave him the strength to overcome, right? So the Rebbe asks, why do we have to mention here the names of Rav and Shmuel? It's not his way. He doesn't, he's explaining the simple meaning of the verse, right? To know that who the debate is between on what these words mean is irrelevant to the simple meaning of the text. If you're studying Talmud, so in Talmud, you need to know. But we're not studying Talmud here. We're studying the words of the text. So to know who are the debaters on this is irrelevant, right? And it's not his way to do it. The only time he does it is in order to give us a deeper understanding based on them, right? A deeper understanding of the simple meaning of the text. So the Rebbe says we could say that the intent of Rashi over here is that the debate between Rav and Shmuel is a well-known stems from a well-known debate between them. The Gemara says that the law goes according to Rav in Isurim. Isurim meaning in questions of prohibition. Is this prohibited or this is permitted? Like, is this kosher or not kosher, like an animal, right? So in those laws, when they debate, the law goes according to Rav, right? But it goes according to Shmuel when it comes to like civil law, shall we say, torts and damages and that kind of stuff. The law will go according to Shmuel, right? That's Gemara tells us. In other words, Rav, his main learning in learning was about prohibited and permitted, which is laws between man and God, right? And if this is kosher or not kosher, that's between you and God, right? It's not between man and man, right? And therefore the law is according to him in such things. But when it comes to laws of business law, that's law between man and man, right? Business dealings, right? The law then goes according to Shmuel, right? That's the distinction between them. So now, according to this, I think I remember learning the Sikh a long time ago. Yes, yes. So follow. You follow? You're with me, guys? Yeah? So accordingly, this distinction expresses the path of Rav and Shmuel and how they learn Torah itself, the pasuk. In other words, Rav is going to see things more from an emphasis between man and God, right? Because that's about prohibition and permitted, right? Kosher, not kosher, right? That's between you and God. So he's going to look at the verse because that's his expertise, shall we say, in that area. So he's going to look at the verse between man and God, right? Whereas Shmuel, he's going to look at it as more between man and man, because that's his area of expertise, right? What does that mean over here, right? What does it mean over here? What is this? What is in general this parsha talking about, this section? About the righteousness of Yosef, right? The righteousness of Yosef. So it should come out then, Yosef's righteousness, when he was saying the words to do his work, should express that righteousness. Therefore, Rav explains to do his work. One second. Rav says, he's the first opinion, right? Which is between man and God, that he is coming to do his work, literally. Right? Because to say that he was coming to fulfill his needs, you won't say that because it's between man and God, and between man and God, to do his needs is to fulfill his needs is a contradiction, right? It would be contradiction to his righteousness. But according to Shmuel, he explains it meant to fulfill his needs, because specifically the emphasis over here of his righteousness is between man and man. That he was not caught to fulfill his needs only when there was no one in the house. Right. In truth, I'm not catching this. 1 second. Shall I need this? I'll say As between man and man is his emphasis. So therefore, his service was, as long as there's someone in the house, he's there to serve. So he's serving man to man, or man and person to other people, right? When there's no one in the house, there was no one for him between man and man to serve. So therefore, he served himself. That's why I'm understanding it a little. Yeah, need a little more. So it says, sorry. Another thought. She grabbed his clothes, saying, lie with me. Then he left his clothes in her hands and he ran out. So the Talmud tells us in that moment, he saw the image of his father that came to him. They came to him. Why was it enough for Yosef to remember his father? Why wasn't it enough for him just to remember his father? Why did he have to see the image of his face specifically? That, right? So, according to halacha, there's a question over here whether it was permissible for Yosef to give up to be Meiser Nefesh, right, to self-sacrifice in order to stand in this test. Because the law of Yosef, right, this is before the giving of the Torah, so he doesn't have a real law of being a Jew. He has a law of being a Ben Noach, right, descendant of Noah. And there are opinions that say that a Ben Noach, meaning someone who isn't Jewish, doesn't have the obligation for self-sacrifice. Even though it's not permitted for Ben and further to that point, a Ben Noach is not allowed to give up their lives, right? You're not allowed to commit suicide or do something that will put yourself in such a position, right? We learned that in Parshas Noach. Therefore, he had to see the image of his father Yaakov. The Gemara tells us that the image of Yaakov is similar to the beauty, and the image of Yaakov is similar to the beauty of the image of Adam, the first human. Adam was a composite soul, right? That has in him all of souls of all generations, and Yaakov is a composite soul that he has in him all the 12 sons with 12 tribes, and therefore all of Israel. So there's a similarity between them, right? So and furthermore, a connection between them is that where Adam failed, right? Yaakov, the Avos, Avram and Yitzchak, but in particular Yaakov, they brought to completion the failure of Adam. right? Failure was kicked out of the garden from eating from the tree of knowledge of good and evil. Therefore, when Yosef saw the image of his father, so that brought a reminder of the failure that happened to Adam with this sin, with his sin, and that his father fixed that sin. That memory brought him to a resolve to be able to stand in his challenge and be able to give himself over. Right? That he should now, break what his father fixed. So, to continue fixing what needs to be fixed. That gave him the strength.
So he should break what his father fixed.
Because his father fixed that which Adam broke. Adam sinned, right? Yaakov fixed it, right? That's the connection between them further, right? So in other words, it was the image of his father, the image that his father has is the image of Adam, right? Right. And therefore, that brought a memory to him that what his father brought to completion that needed fixing of Adam, right? So now, who's going to break that which he fixed and his sin, right? If he would sin, so therefore it would break that which his father had accomplished in fixing what Adam broke in his failings, right? And that's hinted by the words that he ran outside. Meaning that he resolved that he's going to stand in this and be saved from, because, in others, he had to remove himself. He had to go outside, meaning because on a certain level, it was permissible for him because a ben noyach, a non-Jew, doesn't have the obligation to give up their lives. So if you have to sin to save your life, here we're talking about being with a married woman, right? But it's saving his life. And in fact, he was put into jail, right? And it could have been not just put into jail; he could have been killed for it, right? So he's not obligated to get killed or to whatever in order not to have the relations, right? He's not looking for it. He's being compelled, right? But seeing what his father, the face of his father, which is the face of his father, is the image of Adam that he fixed. So that gave him a strength. No, I can't fail in this. Okay, we got to stop here because we got to go to Tanya. I mean, there's more there, but
Thanks, Rabbi.
Thank you, Rabbi.
Thank you.
we'll see you shortly. Thank you.